Whatever you want to do in your life, if you really find who's got there, find the strategies that it takes to get there, and then you're consistent and you fail fast, you will achieve that result.
Are those things a scam?
I built a multi-million-pound property portfolio because of it.
Because I would think you would make money when you sell.
Interest rate goes up, property price goes down. If you manage those two, you're good.
Do you have like a top 3 AI tools that all of us should be using?
The businesses that will succeed are the businesses that adapt AI integration into their companies.
I'm all about human connection and the human touch.
One thing that AI cannot replace, community.
Hello, Brave Table fam. Welcome to another episode of The Brave Table. I'm your host, Dr. Neeta, and this is your oasis, your destination to be all things just a little bit more brave in your actions, in your relationships, and in your life. What if I told you that you can go from humble beginnings to financial freedom, and you don't really need a lot of finances in order to get there? What if I told you that all you needed was just the mindset of a millionaire or a billionaire? Now, my dear friend, John Lee, who is an internationally recognized entrepreneur, investor, mentor, and speaker. By the age of 27, he became a self-made millionaire through real estate investments and creating a 7-figure business. Multiple 7-figure businesses later, and as the author of Business Hack, John has guided entrepreneurs, CEOs, athletes, and celebrities in scaling their ventures, in diversifying their income streams, as well as preserving their wealth. With over 6 million global followers and appearances on platforms like Forbes and BBC, John shares his expertise in leveraging AI, digital marketing, innovative business strategies, and more. He's shared the stages with notable figures like Bill Clinton, Richard Branson, Tony Robbins, and I'm so excited because we get to dive into all things financial freedom. He is also the son of Chinese immigrants that migrated over to London and tells us his unique journey from growing from humble beginnings. And there's so much juice out of this conversation. You're going to learn how to have financial freedom, how to create that in your family, how to think outside the box, what dyslexia actually does as a superpower, and if you've had any sort of learning disabilities or limitations, how to reframe that, and the secret sauce that has aided John's success and is something that you can actually take in your own spiritual practice on the daily. Now, let's get into it with John Lee on the Brave Table this week. John Lee, my man, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I walk into this room and you just have this incredible energy, this loving energy, this calming energy. I've had this pretty hectic week and I can walk in here and chill. It's your energy. I love your energy.
Thank you. Well, I can say the same because people flock to your energy, and you have been doing this kind of, as a serial entrepreneur, as this big business guy. But who is John Lee as in his core? And I want to kind of go back to the beginnings before all of the pomp and the show, because you also are a dad. Mm-hmm. And we want to brave finances, and my audience is super excited to learn from you. But in order to do that, we've got to know where you came from. So let's start there.
Well, my parents are from Hong Kong.
Okay.
And they migrated to England. So I was born in England. So I'm known as a BBC. They call it British born Chinese, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
So it's funny when I go back to Hong Kong, like they speak to me in Chinese and I got really broken Chinese.
Yeah.
So they call me a banana. I'm like, what is that? And then,
it's like ABCD.
Oh, okay.
Like American born confused Daisy is what we're called.
Okay.
So you guys are called a banana.
We call it, well, if you're Chinese and you can't speak Chinese that well, they call you banana.
Oh, that's so funny.
So,
okay.
So my parents went over, they started Chinese takeaway, and immigrant parents, they were working at the hustling, and so for me as a child, I was working in my mum's Chinese takeaway, so I really learned about hard work. And like when every weekend when my friends would go out, I'd get so angry, like, because I had to work in the Chinese takeaway.
Oh, wow.
So this is why, like, I want to talk about this whole freedom thing, because freedom is what you make it. It's how you produce it. Like you make it a part of who you are and what your life is, and you design it around what you want to do.
Yeah. And did you have siblings too?
I got one brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did he have that same mindset growing up as well?
No, he's an athlete.
He's an
Yes,
athlete.
well, I mean, back then in the early days, he was an athlete. I mean,
my
he's like, if
gosh.
you look at my brother, he's like really buff, and he's like got a 6-pack, and I got 1-pack.
So then what was that turning point or that impetus for you to go in and start all of these ventures?
Well, when you're working in Chinese takeaway, it's long hours,
Yeah.
right? So
It's like 12, 18 hours.
well, I mean, I would get home from school at 3. My parents at 4 o'clock would go to the shop. They won't come home till 12. So I actually never really saw my parents until up to the age of about 12 years old. So it was my uncles and aunties that brought me up. And I'm like, I don't, and I remember my uncle had, his son, and, they're working in the shop. And I went back, in the storeroom, and then the baby was just like in the storeroom and no one attended. I was like, Jesus, like I can't, and I get it because they're trying to make a living. And so I said, I had all these like thoughts and feelings like, when I eventually become a father, I want my daughter to have everything. I want to have that flexibility. I want her to be happy. I want her to grow up with this enthusiasm, with this curiosity. And so I'm trying to like, the thing that propelled me into it was really not being able to control my time.
Yeah. And so then when did that shift for you?
So
because I'm guessing you had to do the Asian dream of going to university.
Yep.
And did they peg you in any career like computer engineering, doctor, lawyer, dentist?
So I wasn't any of that. I wasn't smart enough to do any of that stuff. Like my academics is terrible. I didn't do well in school because I'm dyslexic, so I couldn't read. I mean, even still till today, I can't really read that well. If you go to my social media, like you look at all my quotes and things like that, there's spelling mistakes in there, there's grammatical errors, but I don't know, I just do me. It's like, that's just who I am. So it's so funny because when my team send an email out to our database, they know when it's not written by me because it's got perfect grammar, right? But when it's got spelling mistakes and grammatical errors, it's come from, I've actually sent it. So when I worked, the only thing that I could do was art, right? So I was okay at drawing. So the only degree I could really get into was art and then animation. So because to become a lawyer, a doctor, like you got to be really smart, but I wasn't that smart. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? Well, I can draw a little bit, and then that's kind of what got me into TV and film.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah. So you were like the rainbow sheep or the black sheep of the Asian community.
Pretty much.
But I want to talk about that because I think a lot of times we think because we have kind of this issue or this limitation that we can't kind of rise above that. Did you ever feel that way?
I was always very optimistic with things. Like I always like people call me like dreamer. Like my dad would say, "Stop dreaming, stop dreaming, stop dreaming." Like I'll never forget this. So when I worked for Mum's Chinese Takeaway, my mum would be cooking here, and she'd put the woks here, and then I would then get this brush with this thing on it, and I would clean it. But in front of me was a mirror, so I would just look at myself cleaning dishes and doing this, and it's kind of like. When you have these dreams and you're just looking at this mirror, but it's just like half steamed up and you're just dreaming about things.
Yeah.
And then my parents have to say, give me the wok. I'm like, so I'd always be dreaming a lot. I'd always have a lot of ideas. I'd always think of really stupid, really weird things. And because I wasn't academic, so I got a little bit creative.
Right.
So I started thinking like that. I started thinking of what's possible. And I truly believe that whatever you want to do in your life, if you really find who's got there, find the strategies that it takes to get there, and then you're consistent and you fail fast, you will achieve that result. Anything you want to do.
And you've proven that time and time again. So your first kind of big entryway was what, real estate? Okay, so tell us all about that.
So, have you read this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yes.
Yeah. So my friend gave me that. I was one of these guys who would always complain on my job. Oh God, I'm not getting paid enough. I was a BMW. You know what BMW stands for?
What?
Bitches, moaners, and whiner. That's me. So that would be me complaining all the time. And he said, John, why don't you just quit your job? I was like, no, but I need the money. Because, when you're living in London, it's not cheap.
Right.
So on my birthday, he gives me this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that was the first time that I was exposed to this concept of passive income. I'm like, wait, you don't have to work for money. Like you can actually create something and that thing will make you money. And that's when I had this aha moment. So obviously, again, like I'm not smart enough back then to program things to make software. I thought, what's the easiest thing I can do? Right. And the funny thing is, I found that's why I came across real estate. Like anyone can buy real estate, anyone. And the number one rule is if you just hold it, you make money. Right? That's it. And I learned this one thing, which is you make money when you buy, not when you sell. Right? And when I realized that, I'm like, So then I thought, okay, let's see if I can make money when I buy, not when I sell. You know what I did?
What?
I went to all these different courses.
Okay.
And I had to pay money to go to these courses, right? And I was like, why are they charging like £500, £300? It's like, it seems weird because, as someone as an employee, I didn't really understand personal and professional development.
Yeah.
I was just like, it's a course. And my friends would ask me, like, because when we finished work, oh, bro, you want to go for some drinks? So, yeah, no, I'm going to a seminar. What? What is it? Oh, yeah, it's going to teach me how to become a property millionaire. You know what they said to me?
What?
John, it's a scam.
Wow. So are those things a scam? I mean, that's what everyone's wondering.
Well, I built a multi-million-pound property portfolio because of it, right? So here's the thing. When people say things are a scam, they don't understand the things behind it. It's like someone came up to me years ago and said, John, you should invest in this digital thing called a Bitcoin, right? And I went home and told my friends about it. So, oh, yeah, John, it's a scam. So they just cost me all that money because I listened to their opinion, right? That's why we should always go to people who don't go to your friends for advice, pay for counsel. Had I gone to somebody who was in the Web3 blockchain space, had I gone to those types of seminars, I would have understood the real utility of that thing.
Yeah.
And so when I attended these seminars, I was learning the basic skills, like the three things I learned. Make money when you buy, not when you sell. Okay,
tell us a little bit about that. Because I would think you would make money when you sell, right?
No, because that's the mistake a lot of people make. They buy, let's say the average property price is $500,000, right?
Okay.
So they'll buy at $500,000, spend another $50,000 on it, and try and sell it for $600,000. But now you're trying to increase the market value of that property. But if the market's going down, you can't do that,
right?
So if you look at how low a property's ever dropped, it's like 20%, right? But I'm talking about the UK,
right?
Okay. So I thought, well, if it's worth 500,000, if I just buy it at say 400,000, then I'm safe. There's only ever two risks, and this is what I learned in these seminars. Interest rate goes up, property price goes down. If you manage those two, you're good.
Wow. All right. I mean, we're getting a whole masterclass here. So, in what is actually coming back around for me in your story is you just never stayed thinking inside of the box. And it's almost like as if your dyslexia gave you that impetus, that push, that kind of superpower for you to always envision and imagine what the greatest possibility would be. And that's literally how I see you from the stages, from, sharing all of your wisdom everywhere and kind of crushing it in every single different industry. Do you feel like you've always had to be ahead of the curve in a lot of these industries?
I actually don't think I'm ahead of the curve. I'll tell you where it comes from. With dyslexia, like if I look at something visually, I can't see it. I can't understand. Like that's why I hate contracts. And that's burnt me in the past because of that. Now I have a full-time lawyer working with my organization,
which is good.
Right, so you hire the best people, right?
Yeah.
But when you have dyslexia, it's you see things from an engineering point of view. Like, how does it work? What are the nitty-gritty behind it? Right? How is that created? Right? And so you have to internalize and understand it. Like if you tell me something, I'll say something like, so what you mean is da 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 da, because I have to listen to what you say, internalize it, reconstruct it, and then produce it. And so in a way, it's kind of a superpower because it allows me to understand really complex things. And because my brain can't take complex things, I have to dumb it down to its most simplest form. Then I understand it.
Well, and that makes sense because then you're able to teach it to people to actually understand it in the simplest way.
Yes.
And it seems like a lot of your programs are that way.
Yeah. I mean, like and people say, John, you oversimplify things, but that's how I see it. Because the moment, I always say that, if I look at some of my friends who they straight, when we're at school together, they were straight A's. And they were super intelligent. Like my brother's one of them. My brother is he's the guy who can not revise for an exam and still get straight A's. I'm the guy that has to revise every single day for 6 months and I'll be happy if I get a C. Right? And so what I understood was that the more intelligent you are, the more analytical you become. And you have this analysis paralysis. The difference between entrepreneurship and a wantpreneur is that you got to take a risk. And I think I've developed that thick skin of taking risk, knowing that, yeah, you can lose everything, knowing that, there's going to be a cost or there's going to be some kind of loss here. But to me, that is a learning point. I'm kind of like paying to learn the mistake that I don't have to make to progress to the next level.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest kind of drawback for people who are kind of in fear about perhaps maybe investing in their personal or professional growth? They hear stories like yours and they're like, I don't know, that worked for him. I don't know if that'll work for me. I mean, what do you say to that?
If people are scared, it's because there's one thing they didn't do, right? Because think about it. If you actually, the definition of entrepreneur is taking on financial risks in the hope of profit. It doesn't say taking on financial risk in a guaranteed profit, because no one knows. So when people say to me, John, I'm too scared to do this, right? Or I want to do something, but I don't want to do it. I mean, how many smart employees do I know that are perfect for entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
They're good leaders. They understand how to manage people. They've got great vision, great ideas, great strategy. But the thing that's stopping them is they're scared to make that leap, right? And do you know why? Because they haven't de-risked it enough.
Yeah.
They haven't seen, okay, what could potentially go wrong, right? So when you get into something, it's like, what's worst case scenario? What's best case scenario, right? And if you understand and you're happy with that, then, like, for example, I invest in a lot of companies, right? Mainly because of the reason, if the company does well, that's a bonus. One of my strategic reasons for investing is I see all the tech that's happening before it comes to the market. So I get first mover advantage. Now, how do I know if that company is going to go bust or not, right? Well, first of all, like if I'm investing in a company, I'm like, okay, who's on the deck, right? The founders, do they have a CTO? Because I invest in tech and AI, right? So if they have no CTO, I'm not investing. How many iterations of this app or tech have they iterated?
So how many failures have they had?
Yeah. If they give me less than 50, I'm not investing, because I'm not paying for that iteration phase.
Yeah.
So I'm de-risking the process based on experience.
I think in terms of risk, I totally understand and get like how you've been able to build multi-millions, even before the age of 27 or at the age of 27?
I'm in my first million at 27.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, and so for all the moms that are listening or watching this, because your story is so compelling and it's really inspirational for anyone that has perhaps a little one at home who isn't the straight A student, who isn't like your brother, who kind of maybe has learning challenges, but we're trying to make them go to that Kumon or the extra tuition at home. And because, tiger parenting, Asian parenting, and you have a daughter as well.
Yes.
Are you like, what is your take on kind of that traditional Asian way of upbringing? Because I feel like you are completely, you've blown the water on what that sort of trajectory looks like. And to your point about even, training and hiring and looking at deals in the way that you do, how do you think we can instill that in the young people, in our kids?
It's so funny because my mom wants me to go to school, get a job and become a doctor, right? If you become a doctor or an accountant or a lawyer, like you had made it in the, Asians, right? Yeah. But my daughter, it's funny because my daughter asked me for a job the other day.
How old is she?
6 years old.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, Daddy, you can have a job. I'm like, job? Where did you get that from? I said, let's do something better. So, over the Christmas period, I'm like, okay, let me teach you business. And so, she likes Barbies, she likes unicorns, she likes princesses, right? Went to Disney World and she's going to inspire all these princesses. So I said, let's create a business. And she loves art. She's very creative actually, but she's also academically really smart. So she has the left and the right brain, right? So when you put those together, it's very powerful. So I was teaching her artificial intelligence, right? So basically how to draw not with your hands, but draw with your mind. You know what she came up with? Castle on a Cloud.
No.
Right? And if I could show you, I'll send you.
Wait, was there an app that you helped her create?
Yeah. So we was going to this and she was basically prompting it. So I was teaching my daughter prompt engineering because I went to my parents' school evening and this is a private school and it's very, very prestigious.
Yes.
And the teacher's like, so is there any parents have any questions? And I raised my hand and I said, what scopes do you have of teaching our kids artificial intelligence? And all the parents was like, And I'm serious. And she's like, oh, well, it's funny because when they were giving the presentation, it was a PowerPoint, but I'd seen that they'd use AI to create the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So the teachers are using it to give presentations. Why shouldn't our kids? Like now you don't, like, my talking about tiger mums, right?
Yes.
So my wife wants my daughter to, learn all these things like piano, ballet, Kumon, all these things. And she's got all this and it's just crazy. But now I'm like, okay, let me teach my daughter the real skills that matter in life.
What do you think those real skills are in today's world?
Well, creativity is one of them. I mean, it's a big one for now, especially when artificial intelligence takes over, because I see it coming, right? The second thing is that they need to understand emotional intelligence. They have to be able to manage their emotions, right? And the third one is financial literacy. In fact, one thing we're starting this year, I've partnered with one of my business partners, Ricky. We're actually starting a school to teach kids financial literacy.
No way.
Teach them how to trade, obviously not with real money. Right? So, we put up demo accounts and we teach them how to look at charts. Right? So all my mentors and teachers that teach me, it's not that hard to make money in the stock market, They call it a 90-day high, 30-day low. So because people don't know when to get in the market. When over a 90-day period, it's higher than when its current position over 90 days. And but if you don't believe me, anyone watching this, just go back into the charts. Okay. By the way, I'm not giving, disclaimer, I'm not giving you financial advice here, right? So
we don't want to get penalized.
Don't get educated first, okay? And consult professional.
Absolutely.
But there's very simple techniques. I believe that everything in the world is a pattern. Right. And I think that's what being dyslexic allows you to see patterns. Like when I look at the markets, when I look at business, when I look at, it doesn't matter anything to do with money, right? I can, like with the Matrix, you see the code.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Interesting.
In any field to do with money.
Well, and I just keep kind of going back to this theme of, I see so many moms work so hard to kind of like your wife, put them in this box because they want to ensure that the child is growing. But you are that case where it's like, no, throw all of that out of the water, every single one of it, because creativity and creative thinking and deep thinking, as well as emotional intelligence, those are the skills that are going to.
But you should lead with your intuition.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I know it's funny. I didn't know I was dyslexic until I was 18 years old, And I couldn't understand why I couldn't read things. I mean, it was by a miracle I made it through, like the very bare minimum grades, But this is what I mean. Like, why should you judge a fish's ability to be able to climb a tree and to say, okay, that fish is not intelligent because it can't climb a tree, right? Like everyone's got a natural gift and superpower. So my parenting now is, okay, what's my daughter good at? So she's actually really good at performing.
Oh,
right?
Is she?
She dances. She's like a princess. She's got a good voice.
Oh, wow.
And she's intelligent. So she's like smart, right? And so why don't we lead with that first? Why don't we take that person's superpower and blow it up? Like, my daughter's been playing piano and she plays it like once a week.
Okay.
Right? And she, we have a piano teacher.
Would you take her out of that?
She's good at it.
Okay.
She's good at it. But then I think to myself, gosh, she only does like 30 minutes a week. Because this is one of the reasons why I'm considering like homeschooling her now, right? Because you look at school, what they learn. I thought, my God, if she just played that 30 minutes every single day, just every day at home, and I'd teach come over, like imagine how much better she would be. So that's what I'm saying. You take the skill, you hone the skill, and then it's like nurturing talent.
Right, of course. Yeah. So it's similar.
Yes.
And so speaking of AI, and I know that you're investing heavily in a lot of AI. And going back to kind of the things that you asked that school, what should parents equip themselves? Because right now we're thinking, are screens an epidemic for our kids? Should we even give them the screens? Should we go back for them to play with just like dolls and blocks and get that creativity going? What is your take on all of this?
Okay. No screen time for consuming.
Okay.
Only screen time for creating.
Ooh.
Right? So if you create, you can have the screen. Okay, then you want to reward them a little bit. So we put timers on there. If they're consuming, we put a timer on there. But like, for example, instead of my daughter sitting down watching a, YouTube kids thing, right? She could be spending time creating things. So now she's creating artwork, and the goal is to really create, so my daughter's name is Kira, so Kira's shop. And we're going to have all the designs on there. We're going to print them on t-shirts and create a whole brand around it.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I want to do. And now she's making her own music. So we use AI now, and she's so funny. She created this song called Unicorn Kira. I'll play it to you a little bit later.
Oh my gosh.
But now she's written her own songs.
No way.
Right? So we put our songs onto her videos, onto content. She's now become a digital creator. This is the growth of the creator economy.
Interesting. So if parents are listening to this and or other people, but I'm curious, how would you make that transition?
It's simple. Like even
and what would you like introduce them to first?
Well, it depends what you want to do. First of all, there's 3 things we want to look at. Anytime, so if anyone's watching this and like, okay, I want to do something, I want to create a side hustle.
Yeah.
Right? 3 questions you have to ask. First one is, what do you do that brings you joy? Because if you don't have the joy, you won't continue to do it. It'll seem like a chore. The second thing is, you got to make sure that you're good at doing it, or you have some level of interest in that. Because if not, there's a friction point to get started. And the last one is, what problem are you solving? So the question I always ask is, what do you know to be true that other people don't yet? And if you can figure that out, and so what do I know? I know that everyone's going to have an assistant. So for example, I have an assistant called Nova, right? So I can come in here, I can ask Nova a question. So let me start it up. Hey, Nova, are you there? And so,
always here for you, John. What's on your mind?
I'm just doing a podcast with Neeta, and we have an audience right now who's watching. Could you just introduce yourself?
Of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Nova, which stands for Next Generation Optimized Virtual Assistant. I work with John, yes, the one and only, helping him scale his vision, run his businesses, and make a massive impact worldwide. Think of me as his supercharged AI sidekick, handling the heavy lifting so he can keep inspiring and leading. Whether it's business strategy, content creation, or even a sprinkle of humor, I'm here to make things smoother, faster, and more impactful. Basically, I help turn big dreams into reality. So let's dive into the magic today. What's the focus?
So basically, I know that everyone's going to have their own personal assistant.
Okay.
We're going to have wearable tech. So let's say you and I want to go for a dinner meeting tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, I say, okay, what food do you like? Say, oh, John, I like Japanese. Nova, book me a Japanese restaurant tonight at 6:00 in Business Bay. And it will talk to their AI and it'll book us a table. Don't have to go to our phone. We don't have to see if it's open, if there's any slots. It will just book it. Get rid of friction.
No Google calendar invites and things like that.
You want to create some content? Hey, Nova, I want you to create a piece of content talking about why podcasting is so important. I want to use my AI clone, number 3, and I want you to write a script on it, put the script on, edit it, put subtitles in it, and post it on Instagram. Bang, done.
It does it all for you.
It will do. That's where we're getting to.
Wow.
So we're taking away the friction. This is how you build billion-dollar companies. If you look at Uber, right? What's the difference between Uber and a taxi company? When I call a taxi, I'm like, I've got anxiety. Is it here yet? How long is it going to be? How far is it? All Uber did was just put a map there so you can see, oh, it's 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
Right? And
That's true.
and that's a billion-dollar company. It's got rid of the friction.
So how can we start equipping ourselves? This is great advice. So we have to think of the top 3 things. What problem we're going to solve. What are we actually good at? And I forgot the third one, but we'll go back in there. So I feel like there's, in our community, Brave Table Fam, I've kind of talked about this on Solo Casts. I feel like every day there's like new apps and things changing. And so do you have like is it the top 3 AI tools? Because you're already way ahead. You're giving your 6-year-old the opportunity to now create, which I think is such a valuable point. But also if there's maybe top 2 or 3 like apps that all of us should be using. We all kind of know about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other amazing ones now, Poe.
Well, it depends what you want to do. Like, for example, if you're at home and you don't have a business, one of the easiest ways to start a business is to sell something for somebody else, right? Because I get a lot of people that come to me all the time, but John, I don't want to. You know what I realized? People don't want a job. And now they don't want a business.
Yeah.
They want something in between.
They want something
in between.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to start a business or to create what I call a side income or a side hustle is to basically take someone else's product and sell it. So I'll give an example. So I was So my wife does e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
So, but she's also, you know, we're partners in the company, but she's like, John, I want to do something on the side. So I said, what do you want to do? So her friend just created this skincare. So she went to Korea, and you know, in Korea, they got the really nice
Oh,
skincare.
beautiful.
So if you see my wife's skin, it's like they call it glass skin.
Yeah.
She looks glass.
She's got the glass
And then
skin.
people ask her, how's your skin like that? But she doesn't want to put herself on social media. So you know what we did? We used this, so there's this app that can take, so I just took a picture of it.
Yeah.
And I said, give me the URL. Right. And so I got the URL and we put this into an AI. And now we've got this growth of a UGC creator. So what we did is we got an AI to talk about this product. It pulled all the information from the website and created an ad. And now basically she gave that to her friend, and her friend's like, how did you do that? Oh my God, I want to hire the person who did this, but it's just a copy and paste. That's all we did. So do you know what I see the growth of? AI marketing agencies.
No way.
So you could be at home, copy and paste, and you know how much they pay? 2,000 to 5,000 a month.
What?
You get 3 clients, it's 20,000 a month you're making. Right?
That's
So
insane.
that's one thing you could do. You could just offer that, you know, for somebody else. Or that skincare, if they post it and sell it, you take a cut of every sale that comes through.
Right.
And now you don't have to have any delivery. You just copy and paste and give it to them. That's it.
It's keeping it simple.
Keep it
Simple and easy.
Simple, repeatable, scalable.
Wow. And what do you think people, again, going back to this idea of fear, what do you think people maybe listening or watching this and is like, the resistance, I don't know if I even want any AI. I'm all about human connection and the human touch. You know, what do you say to that?
You know, I used to work for a company 20 years ago. Actually, no, even longer than that, when I'm in my teens. And this company was called Touch Communication. And do you know what I used to do? Pick up the phone and sell people an email address and a domain name. Can you imagine? I'd call you up and say, hey, Neeta, I've got this incredible URL that's called coaching.com. Do you want to buy it? Like, of course, you'd snap it up now, right?
Yeah.
So back then I was like, you need a URL. So how people are saying what AI is about now is the same that people used to say before, I don't need an email address, right? Now you need an email address. Now you need a mobile phone. Now you need a smartphone. It's inevitable. You cannot stop it. It will come. So you need to embrace it. But, you know, so I did an interview with Success Magazine. One of the questions they asked me is, will people lose their jobs from AI? Some people will, but actually the businesses that will succeed are the businesses that adapt AI in integration into their companies.
Interesting.
Right? It's not that this business is not doing well because this one can do it cheaper, faster, and quicker.
Yep.
Now, like, you know, I invested in 25 companies and 4 of them are now unicorns, right?
Wow.
And if I look at what's relevant in all of them, the ones that do really well, they have a lean process. You don't have to have 1,000 employees now to be $1 billion company. You can have less than 10 people. They call it a unicorn, like one, with all these AI tasks at hand. And if you chain them together, that's called an AI organization.
Oh, wow.
So now you can replace an entire, do you know, so that example I showed you before,
yes,
I can do that for a sales team. I can do that for customer service. I can do that for delivery. I can do that for any role in a company. So then you're thinking, well, does that mean you fire the employees? No, you don't do that. You have the employees train the AI to get even smarter, even quicker, even more efficient.
Because I feel like some of the, the folks that are listening to this, they're like, oh my gosh, okay, well, that's great from a business standpoint. I don't have to have any employees, but you're saying, no, we still need the team members.
Yeah, because someone has to manage the AI. So eventually you'll have people sitting there and they'll be talking to the AI of that company to basically execute.
So do you think the future is that everyone's going to have to be a better prompt engineer?
Everyone's going to have to, first of all, create community. And then also one thing that's coming now is AI Web3 blockchain, right? So tokenomics. Okay, we're getting a little bit complex now, but think of a point system, right? So, people get paid in fiat now, right? So dollars, the more they print, the less it's worth.
Yeah.
But tokens or points, they have a certain amount. So, when you book a flight on American Express and like, okay, would you like to use points to pay? Every business will have their own point system that can be converted into real usage to be able to buy that product or service. And it grows in value as well.
We all like points.
We all like points, and points that can grow. Imagine your points worth $1 now, but you get millions of people transacting, right? Just like a share, when more people buy the share grows in value. So now let's say you have 1,000 shares, but now they go to 100 times. It's 100 times that 1,000 now. So yeah, it's worth 100 times more. And now you can use it to buy things with it and transact with it.
And so now this brings us back to the school question. where do you think educators and teachers, where do you think they can equip or kind of give our kids the tools for AI? What are the first steps?
First of all, teachers' brains will be put into an AI to teach, right? So then you're like, well, why do you need a teacher? You see, there's difference between strategy and tactics.
Mhm.
Tactics are, this is how you do everything, right? So for example, when I'm consulting companies now, like I can go in and I charge a sizable fee,
Yeah.
right? But I say, you can just use my AI because
Mm.
now I can do one-to-one with 1 million people instead of one-to-one. I can do like maybe 1,000 people, right? So teachers' brains will go into one place and the teacher will keep updating that AI. Now, when that person needs strategy,
Mhm.
that's when the teacher will intervene.
Okay, so at a higher level.
Yes. So like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing in life. Okay. Then they ask questions, start coaching them. Okay, I want to
Yeah.
do this. Is okay, great. So to do that, you need this skill set. So use this AI. Then you need to use this one, use that AI. You need to use this one, you need to learn this, use that AI.
Mm.
Right? So teaching and how our kids will learn, they will learn by doing, but their uptake of knowledge is going to be 1,000 times. See, knowledge has now been commoditized. It's not actually worth anything.
Yeah.
That's why real communities, real conversations.
Mhm.
It's so funny. I was running an event the other day. We had 5,000 people online.
Wow.
And then people like, because I was talking about this AI, and then they asked the question, is this the real you, John? I was like, yeah, this is the real me. I said, prove it. Okay, I said, type in a word. Right? And so it's funny. So the value of in-person connections, one thing that AI cannot replace,
Yeah.
community.
Interesting. Okay, so that gives me hope that we're still going to want the in-person connections, the in-person events,
Now become more valuable.
and that's going to be more valuable.
Yes.
Wow, I'm blown away. What are you interested in these days?
I'm interested in biohacking, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why I'm wearing a
see
whoop.
that.
I'm wearing a whoop.
Oh,
and
you're wearing, I've got an aura.
I've got a whoop. I've got an Ultra Human, and I've got an Apple Watch, and I'm testing all three. It's a little bit over the top,
Okay.
but I'm seeing which ones give me the right readings. And so they're all different. All the like this will say I've slept for 6.5 hours, and my Ultra Human will say I've slept for 7 hours and 5 minutes, for example. And then my Apple Watch will say 6 hours and 45. So I just take an average of that.
Okay.
Right. So I'm into like breath work, energy management, manifestation.
Mhm.
I'm into a lot of actually, I'm very spiritual in terms of, how things come to your life, how you manifest it. And
Do you think that's part of the big reason behind your success?
I don't really talk about it on my social media or anything.
I know.
I honestly, this is like kind of like, I know it's like, this is like, you have two lives. You have your public life and then you've got your private life. But I do, so I'm into things like, I love sci-fi movies.
Mhm.
I'm interested in like quantum mechanics, quantum physics. I believe that there is a realm,
Yeah.
quantum realm, but we just can't access it. And the way you access it is to align, you create the frequency, and then you attract it into your life. And that's what I really believe.
Mm.
So this whole thing of like possibility, when people ask me, John, what do you do? People think, I just teach people how to start profitable businesses.
Mhm.
But actually the real underlying of that is actually transformation.
Mm.
So in order for people to get to that level, they need to transform first. They need to become a different person to attract different things.
Mm.
And so that's why I always like the things I'm interested in is like, how can I optimize my health? How can I optimize? So I had a brain scan the other day,
Okay.
right? My brain age came back at 21.
21?
21 years old, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I can't say the same for the rest of my body, but
I
my
mean,
brain came back at 21.
Asian doesn't crack.
Yeah. So I'm really learning like, how can we be more effective?
Yeah.
How can we optimize? A lot of people, they spend money on a lot of things like cars, watches, bags, things like that.
Mhm.
But actually, if you took that same amount of money, put it into your brain,
Mm.
how much optimized would your brain be?
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people, if they just did that, they can grow more because the business can only grow to as big as you can grow. The more
Mm.
action you take, the more money you make, the more opportunities come. Right. And and every time you take action, it's like you're ramping up the frequency every
Yeah.
time. So I realized that every time that's why I love to travel.
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
Every month I'm in a different country because it's a frequency vibration that you're starting to ramp up and increase.
Yeah, it's almost an ignition in a way. I love that you're speaking to this because I think that so often, people can get so enamored by your stage presence, the amount of workshops you've done, the amount of, the AI and everything. But I love that it's all kind of centered with your own spiritual practice, which leads me to our final igniting round, because I know you have to go. And I'm so grateful and generous. You've given us so much time today. We do have this igniting round, but before we get into that, where can people kind of link in with you, get to know some of the programs? You have an amazing program with Mind Valley, but I know you have your book coming out with our shared publisher, Money Unlocked, which we'll have to bring you back for round 2 for that.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, look, if you go to any social media, type in John Lee, look for the verified check mark, or they can go to my website, johnlee.com. But I just launched a new YouTube channel as well.
Oh, you did?
I was never on YouTube. Well, I was in the early days, but that was talking more about real estate, but I'm more interested in the things that we're talking about now. So I started a new one called John Lee Success.
Oh, I love that.
So they go to YouTube, they can check out John Lee Success.
John Lee Success. Okay, we'll put it all in the show notes. Yeah. All right. So this is all rapid fire questions, but a favorite country?
Singapore.
Of course.
I'm from London, but I love Singapore.
I do love Singapore. Dubai and Singapore though.
These are the 2 places I love.
Yeah.
Because why? Innovation. That's why I spend a lot of time in Dubai as well, right? But why Singapore? Because I'm Chinese. I love the food.
I love the food.
But actually, the food here is really good as well.
The food, yeah.
But if I'm talking about like safety, like Singapore and Dubai are very safe.
Yeah.
And I just think the people here in Dubai as well, because people have chose to come here, it's different vibe, it's different vibration, energy. So Singapore, because I love the food and obviously I'm Asian, but I spend a lot of time in Dubai. Like UK right now, it's interesting.
Yes, we'll keep it at that. I'm with you on some of the Western places right now, and your go-to spiritual practice.
Breath work. So actually, I try to combine breath work with cold plunge. And it really, really helps.
Really?
Yeah, if you're going to cold plunge and you do the breath work, like you actually warm up your tummy. I actually learned this from Niraj. And Niraj taught me this.
He's so great.
He's like, if you do this, you can warm up your tummy. Really? And then you don't feel cold anymore. Right? And then you're getting all your
benefits.
Yeah, all your benefits from that. So if you combined it, it's like double power.
How many minutes can you sit in there?
My maximum I've done 16 minutes.
16?
But that's over the top. You only have to really be in there for about 2.5, 3 minutes, really.
Yeah.
But I just think because I was talking to someone in there as well.
Oh, of course.
So that's why I didn't realize.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, favorite Asian meal that brings you back home?
Chicken rice.
Oh yeah.
Chicken rice is
chicken
the
rice.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's why Singapore, because they do the best chicken rice.
Oh.
If anyone goes to Singapore, it's a place called Buntung Ki, you have to go there.
Oh God.
I'll take you there one day.
So good. Yes. We love Singapore. And what does it mean to be brave?
Brave means to take action without having all of the steps in place, without knowing everything and just trusting the process.
And what are you braving right now?
Doing something that scares me, which is putting myself out there. I know it sounds weird because but John, you're already out there, you're on social media, but for example, I don't speak Vietnamese, but I just accepted a big tour in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
That's scary for me because I don't speak Vietnamese. Like, part of my mind is like, do they understand what I'm saying? Like, are they going to accept? Okay, I'm Asian. Will they accept me? Right? And so I want to say yes to more things that in my brain, I'm like, oh yeah, they won't understand what I'm saying. I'm not going there. Right? Even like Dubai, like before, I mean, I've been coming here for years and I love it. And I've seen it grow and innovate and it's become so incredible, attracting people, attracting talent. But my earlier thoughts of, I'm not going to Dubai. Why want to go there?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I'm braving having more open mind to things, like doing things that, like this kid's school. Like I get so many parents asking me because they see me posting pictures on Instagram with my daughter. Okay, can you teach my kids that?
That's big.
Right? And so I'm like, okay, let me put my time's limited. So let me partner with somebody. Let me help design the curriculum. Because when people say, in Asian, it's like, my daughter goes to Oxford and my son goes to Cambridge and Stanford.
There's
and
a
Harvard,
lot of that here.
Right?
There's a lot of that here.
Right. I want them to say, my kids went to the School of Financial Freedom.
Ooh.
Right? Because I don't want to teach people to be good employees. I want to teach people to be good with life and start living instead of existing. And all people, actually, if you think about it, if people can make an extra 10,000 a month, that can make people free.
Yeah.
And it's not hard to get there, actually. It's very easy to get there.
Wow. John Lee, I love your heart and your enthusiasm, your passion for everything that you do. You're such a breath of fresh air, and I'm so excited. I'm so glad that we were able to do this finally. Thank you for pouring into our community. And I can't wait for part 2 when we talk about Money Unlocked. So stay tuned for that. Maybe at that point, he would have already created the school for kids, which we'll drop more information on. John Lee, you're amazing.
Thank you so much for having me.
Until next time on the Brave Table. Wow, welcome back to the other side. Okay, what a power punched episode that was. John Lee is extraordinary by all means, and I'm so glad you got just a little glimpse and a taste of his enthusiasm, his passion, his excitement for all things future forward. And I don't know about you, mamas, but if you have someone in your life that isn't as fast, isn't as academically strong, well, maybe that's a good thing, because if we help them own their secret sauce, if we help them own their unique imprint, they can create some extraordinary things in the world. And I'm so, so, so grateful that he was able to grace his time with us today. And if you are curious to learn more about him, you can actually follow him at John Lee Official on Instagram. And you can also follow him and subscribe to his YouTube channel, where he's going to talk about success, money, AI, all of the tools. If you're curious about generating an extra $10,000 in income a month, he is your guy. He's done it for several thousands of people. Most of his workshops are definitely sold out across the world, across the globe. And he is such a beautiful, genuine, down-to-earth person to learn from. So I will link that episode. I will link everything in the show notes, as well as where to find him, where to connect with him, as well as 3 additional episodes. If you're curious about braving your finances, braving thinking outside the box, braving your financial freedom and health, I will put that in the show notes as well. And if you are watching this on YouTube or somebody sent this to you, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here, and let us know what you loved most in the comments below. Tag somebody you love. Send this episode to somebody who could use a little bit more financial freedom. And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. It helps us grow the show more than you know. And if you can like or thumbs up this on Spotify and or iTunes, it really helps us with growing and getting more valuable guests for you. Now, on that front, if you've loved this and you still haven't put a comment or tagged us on the Brave Table or at Neeta Bhushan, please do so, and I will see you soon. Don't forget to be just a little bit more brave.